Test. Then we're good either way, as long as we weren't taking it out. That's your. But we were going to switch that last sentence to the proposed sentence, the proposed language.
It's a said.
Other than non, other than single family, yeah. Just changing that first phraseology.
Well, I just, anytime you use a term, it needs to be defined.
So the idea was that. Here. However, I would have to be limited that, but we don't say all now. But the phraseology before was saying everyone but these people. So we want restaurant. Yeah. You told me to hire. So that I have a phraseology anyway, but it just it sorts it out right there without having this.
Cindy.
Yeah,
broker,
I mean, that's kind of.
She says AP.
It's quiet. Restaurant or the office. Yeah.
Okay.
So for nine, you just want to say.
Yeah.
Based on legal advice, we have seminars and repetitive language in this particular now section. Yeah.
Legal in all 50 states. I will call to order our regular scheduled city council meeting of January 20th, approximately 7 PM, Monday evening. Let the records reflect that all members of council are present and in attendance in chamber, along with our city administrator and our city clerk, various department heads, and our city attorney, Mr. Hughes. So we thank you all for being here. And any citizens that are with us tonight, thank you for attending, and anyone via Zoom. Okay, so we welcome them via Zoom also. Thank you for attending this evening. First item on our agenda will be on the welcome, which I just did, will be our invocation, our pledge of allegiance. Mr. Matney.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd ask that anybody who would like to bow in prayer with me. Dear Heavenly Father, this is the day that you have made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. There are a lot of things to celebrate today. We first observe Dr. King, who led a life of service and encouraged everyone to do the same. And that's, I think, what you have placed on the hearts of the men and women here to serve this community in whatever capacity, whether they be elected officials, whether they be department heads, whether they be residents speaking from their hearts. And Lord, we also are grateful for the peaceful transition of power in the United States. And we would ask that you bless the new president and the new first lady, the new vice president and the new second lady, and the decisions that they make to guide this country over the next 4 years. May they be pleasing in your sight. May they glorify you. Lord, we would ask that you be with us to lead us, protect us, and guide us tonight in what we hear and the decisions that we make. And let us take you out of here and be a light into the world. These are things we ask in your name. Amen. I'd ask for anybody who would like to rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Matney. Next item, proclamation and presentation. We do not have any this month. That, reading and approval of minutes, you've had in your packet our regular city council meeting of December the 16th for your review. I'd ask for unanimous consent unless there's objections or corrections. Please so state that. Hearing none, we will consider the city council meeting December 16th by unanimous consent approved. Same thing for special called council meeting January 6, 2025. By unanimous consent. No objection, would stand approved as submitted. Next item on our agenda is public comment. I think the only one is signed up. Do I need to go through you pretty much understand the rules and the guidelines of our public comments? Ma'am? Okay, good. So I won't reread them. They still in attendance. Nothing's changed. I believe you are speaking on an item on the agenda. So you're up. If you'd state your name and address for us, please. That's not turned on.
Okay. Megan Brock, 311 Wild Rice Drive. I'm talking about the request you have on the agenda, I think it's 9E, to ask the city council county for money to put a traffic light on Holland Road because of the Bridges Stadium project. It looks like you're asking for upwards of $200,000 to put a traffic light there so people can park at a school to go to the stadium. How many times has it been said that this project wasn't going to cost taxpayers any more money? And yet here you are, just to do the evaluation, asking for more than $100,000 to put an unnecessary traffic light, when meanwhile you have all kinds of, because you're creating a problem, when you have all kinds of problems, roadway problems, that aren't fixed. South Carolina has the second highest motor vehicle fatality rate in the entire nation. Entire nation. Guess what county is the highest, most problematic in South Carolina? Greenville County. Hey, why do you think that is? It's because you're prioritizing creating a problem and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on that rather than fixing the many problems you already have. That's how you get the highest motor vehicle fatality rate in the country. Part of the contract you have with the stadium project is that they had to give a parking plan. And this is related to the parking plan. That parking plan is atrocious. You are trying to put a round peg into a square hole. There is nowhere to park. The parking plan relies on annexing Malden High School. You want to use the high school 100 plus nights a week to park? You want to bring, you know that there's lots of studies showing that what do stadiums bring to communities? They bring crime, they bring drunkenness. So you want to have 3,000 to 4,000 people parking on the high school property who are potentially, getting drunk before the game. Greenville County has the highest sex trafficking reporting in the entire state. I have a daughter who's zoned to go to Malden High School. I do not want her being at an after-school activity and potentially having 300,000 to 400,000 drunk adults on her high school campus. The amount of liability and safety concerns that brings are just absolutely atrocious. Not to mention the fact that you're then basically telling the high school for the next 30 years for this corporate project to work, the corporate project comes first, the students come last. And I don't care how much money they're gonna get paid for this high school, to use the high school. You cannot put a price on the safety and well-being of students, and shame on anyone who does. Honestly, I can't wait to see that price. I'm gonna be asking I'm absolutely gonna be asking Greenville County Schools to find out what the price on Greenville County students is, because that really bothers me as a mom and as just a decent person. The other thing in that contract I read was that you gave the stadium the opportunity to ask the county for a reduced tax liability. And if anything I'm saying is wrong, please feel free to interrupt and correct. I thought that one of the big pushes for how this is going to be so great for the community is all the tax revenue it's going to bring in. So why then did you give them the opportunity to ask for reduced tax liability? Again, why are the rules different for corporations than residents. Why do they get a reduced tax? Do I get to ask for reduced tax liability? Do I get to ask to not have to follow the city council ordinances? Your job is to serve the community. That's your job. That's why you were elected. I believe that you are genuinely creating a public nuisance, and that is going to carry legal liability. It may even carry personal liability. Particularly in that parking plan, they note that the surrounding neighborhoods are going to have an issue with parking because there is no parking. There's no parking. So people are going to park in all the neighborhoods. What do you think is going to happen when you have a bunch of 15,000 drunk people walking around the streets, walking back to their cars in the neighborhoods? What's going to happen with the crime? What about all the drunk driving? We're going to have an increase in drunk driving accidents. Who is going to take responsibility for that? That's what I want to know. Can someone raise their hand? If a girl in Malden High School gets assaulted by a drunk fan, who's going to take responsibility for that? Please raise your hand. Let it be on the record that all of these questions have been brought up. And if any of these horrible things happen to the community, you're all responsible. Thank you.
Report from our city administrator, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So it was a banner year for business and development growth in the city of Malden. In 2024, the city saw record-breaking commercial permits issued and a record number of business licenses issued as well. Additionally, 6 new neighborhoods began construction, 4 completed construction, and the city is still in the midst of historic highs for new home and residential permits issued. Home sales in 2024 in Malden remained strong, with new homes selling on average in the low 400s and existing homes in the mid 320s. New townhomes in Malden are selling for in the 300s, with existing townhomes in the mid 220s. We continue to forecast strong residential demand in our community. As our little secret is out, Malden is a great place to live, work, and raise a family. The other thing I wanted to mention is season reveal this Friday. We're rolling out the red carpet at the Malden Cultural Center this Friday for a dazzling evening of elegance and excitement as the Malden Theater Company unveils its highly anticipated 2025-2026 season. This year's theme, A Blank Canvas Awaits, Season of Transformation, speaks to the exciting changes and fresh perspective coming to the Malden Theater Company. Prepared to be inspired as we embark on a new era of creativity and artistic exploration. Tickets are on sale now, are $25 each, which includes access to the pre-show reception and a beverage ticket. The attire this year is black tie, so come dressed to impress. Doors open for the reception at 6:30 with the programming beginning at 7:30. For more information and tickets, please visit maldenculturalcenter.org. And a special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Christina Ortiz State Farm, and our reception sponsor, WOW Fiber Internet. Thank you, sir.
Sir. Reports from our standing committees, Economic Development, Mr. Matney.
Nothing to report at this time, Mayor.
Public Safety, Mr. King.
Nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Works, Mr. Crayley.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Finance and Policy, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to report.
Recreation, Mr. Allgood.
Continue the trend, no report. Thank you, Mayor.
Business Development Services, Mr. Steenbach.
Nothing to report at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, next item before us is unfinished business, ordinance on second reading. Ms. Miller.
We have one ordinance for second reading tonight, and it's an ordinance to rezone a 2-acre portion of a property located at Fowler Circle.
EDS, Mr. Steenbach.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make a motion that we rezone the 2-acre property along Fowler Circle from C1 to RM, and this is on our second reading.
Sir, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. King. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion to rezone the property along Fowler Circle to, what did we say? RM, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign.
Opposed.
Okay. Opposition, Mr. Crayley. Motion carries 6-1. Next item, new business ordinance on first reading, Ms. Miller.
We have one ordinance for first reading tonight, and it is a council is requested to authorize changes to the City of Malden solid waste ordinance.
Ma'am, this comes Public Works, Mr. Crayland.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to make a motion, our city council to authorize the changes to the City Malden solid waste ordinance as described here.
We have a motion from Mr. Craven. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Reynolds. Any discussion?
I do.
Mr. Allgood.
Thank you, Mayor. Section 34-9C, where we talk about the grass clippings and leaves. I'm just looking for clarification. It says grass clippings will not be picked up unless they are bagged. But then it also looks like you can place it at the street or in the receptacle. Just want to make sure that that is proper, that we are allowing you to bag it and put it in your trash can or put it on the side of the road.
Just to make note of this. So essentially what happens is when they don't bag it, it goes in the trash can, it still gets dumped in the same place. That's why it could go either way.
Just want to make sure.
Correct me if I'm.
So the way it reads and the practice currently is that grass clippings have to be bagged. The distinction here is that we either, some properties, it's easier sometimes to have them placed along a certain street versus necessarily where their garbage is picked up. Mr. Fleeman, how would you describe that? Come on, yeah. We'll let the expert handle this one.
So it's actually very simple. The city currently does not have any means for recycling grass clippings. Grass clippings that are set out are mixed with our municipal waste and sent to the landfill. So the point of that sentence is you can put them in a bag and leave it next to your can, or if you want, you can just put the bag in the can because it's all going to the same place.
So if I got an extra special, lots of grass clippings, I can still just put it on the side.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool.
Yes, sir.
Be sure you're not confusing. If you've got grass clippings, they go in a bag. The
Mhm.
bags can be set on the side of the road right away, or the bag can be placed in the trash can.
Yeah.
But you don't leave your grass clippings on the side of the road.
They need to be in that
Unbagged.
unbagged. Yes,
Unbagged.
correct. Now, I do follow that, Mayor. I just wanted to make sure because once upon a time it was you just leave it on the side, and then I heard we're going to put them in the receptacle. Now you have the option of doing either.
Can do either, yes.
I just know there are confusions sometimes in a couple of neighborhoods that you can put them in the middle of the street, not necessarily in a bag. So the bag has to be on the right of way or in the receptacle, not in the middle of the street, or loose grass clippings.
That is correct.
Just a country boy explanation.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mayor. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Oh, sorry, Mr.
Mr. Mayor, just briefly, in this sense, we're at first reading. I just have a comment. Upon my review of the ordinance, I found a few things that I thought we should clean up with the ordinance. And I don't need a motion. I'm not ready to present a motion for an amended ordinance this time. We can approve on first reading and then I can present the amendments to council prior to second reading. But this is to clean up, see some of the language in the definition of multifamily under 34.1. And in 34.3, the intent of the language underlined as practicable. And then as well, under multifamily service, I just wanted to clean up some of that language dealing with that the city does not provide a collection of waste from multifamily property. There's some language there I'd like to clean up. So that was my only comment. Nothing substantially is going to change with my changes, but just from a wordsmithing standpoint, I would present to council on second reading some changes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Noted. Nothing else. All those in favor of the motion to authorize council to make changes as submitted to the City of Malden solid waste ordinance, say aye. On first,
Aye.
first reading. Didn't change anything. 7-0. Okay. Thank you. Item, I believe, Ms. Miller. 26.
Council is requested to approve an expenditure plan for the Malden Police Department to be funded by appropriations from the FY 24-25 South Carolina State Budget.
I believe this is coming from safety, Ms. Miller. Ms. King. Ms. King, sorry.
You're fine. At this time, I'd like to make a motion for City Council to authorize the capital expenditure to include via state appropriations, the allocation to purchase the mobile command vehicle and SRT equipment, and to select MSV, which is Mobile Specialty Vehicles, as the lowest responsive bidder in the acquisition of the mobile command post vehicle.
I have a motion, Ms. King.
Second. Second.
Mr. Craylon. All right, any discussion?
Just real quick, I would just like to add that our staff did a tremendous job in reviewing 11 different bidders that came to the table for the mobile command vehicle. And through several months of going through specific specs that the city felt like that, or the police department felt like that this vehicle needed, narrowed the choice down to MSV. And I think another important note is that they're able to turn this vehicle around, I believe, within about a 9 or 10 month time frame, whereas some of the other applicants were, over a year to a year and a half. So this is something that the city should see in the next 9 to 10 months. Hopefully, we'll have it on site. And another note that I appreciated, that's similar to when we purchased the new ladder truck, the fire trucks, that our office, well, I guess a team will be going to MSV to see the actual vehicle before we transport it back, before it's brought here to the city, to make sure that the specs and everything is exactly what we asked for and what we've paid for. So I guess all of that to say that it was not something that was taken lightly, and a lot of thought and research went into this. So I'm excited to see the final product. Thank you.
Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real quickly to follow up on what Ms. King said. As I said, and I don't serve on public safety, obviously, but sat in and listened on the report. So certainly appreciate the thoughtfulness and time and effort and energy put into what is a large police purchase. Fire trucks over there, they laugh at $500,000, but the police didn't. They put a lot of effort and energy in it. So I appreciated that. And as a city with 30,000 people and soon to be 35,000, this is a sort of thoughtful investment that the city should be making. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Mayor, can I add one quick thing? To your point, Mr. Reynolds, the MCV will potentially have a life that'll expand over 10 years. So this isn't a, like a police car that's on the street 24/7. So it is a big investment. However, we hope to get over a decade of use out of this vehicle.
It's a comment from me. I appreciate the leadership in the police department and in the public safety committee to be very proactive in getting a vehicle of this type to be utilized by our public safety, our police department. And it's still my understanding that City of Malden is rated in the top 5 safest cities in the state of South Carolina. That's still good.
That's what I heard.
Fantastic. So
Thank you.
Thank you for this leadership. Anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the expenditure plan for the police department from the state appropriations and select MSV as the lowest responsible bidder, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimous.
Council is being asked to accept the award of a PARD grant from the South Carolina Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism.
Office of Economic Development, Mr. Matney.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we authorize the mayor and/or his designee to sign any and all documents necessary to accept the award.
Have a motion, from Mr. Matney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Steenbach. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented by Mr. Matney, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries.
Council is requested to accept ATAX grant recommendations.
That's also comes economic development, Mr. Matney.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we allocate $3,487.80 for marketing for the Malden Blues and Jazz Festival and $100,000 for new stage cover at the Malden Cultural Center Amphitheater in accordance with the recommendation of the Malden Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee.
Motion, Mr. Matney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Kraling. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented by Mr. Matney, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Next up, three, page 53, sorry, speaking out loud. Ms. Miller.
Council is requested to approve a C-Funds application request for engineering, design, and right-of-way acquisition of two signalization projects at Highway 276 and Murray Drive and Holland Road at Bridgeway Boulevard.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Public Works, Mr. Kraling.
I would like to make a motion for city council to approve a C-Fund application request for engineering, design, right away, two signalization projects.
Thank you, Mr. Kraling. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. King. Any discussion? Mr. Allgood.
Thank you, Mayor. With regards to the first item on Highway 276 at Murray Drive, will this necessarily make that road possible? Or is this just to get the traffic light at that intersection, whether or not that road is ever completed or not? Also, whether or not Knollwood as it is would stop in front of where the Dollar Tree currently is?
So this will allow for the engineering and design for signalization. That would go hand in hand with the road realignment. However, the one challenge to the road realignment would be the connection point of Papa's and Beer into that. If the topography is going to work right from an engineering standpoint. Would we otherwise signalize this without the roadway? It's becoming very clear that that's a popular route to go, and with the additional townhomes across the railroad tracks over off of Green and Murray, I think signalization is important even without the roadway for both those going that way and trying to get out and make left-hand turns and things like that. So I think it's worth the study. It doesn't mean we're going to necessarily install them, but it will do all the work except for installing them. So we'll have another decision point in the future on that. And then I forgot the second part.
The second part is, at one point in time, there was talk of when that road does get built, or if it gets built, that the existing exit of Knollwood Drive would then be shut off right where Dollar Tree is. So only Dollar Tree and now True Liant would be utilizing that part of what would be considered Old Knollwood right there. So that was my other question, was whether or not by making a vote on this, whether or not I would therefore be supporting shutting that off.
Well, I think that based on the initial feedback we're getting from DOT is that DOT's preference is to move both Knollwood and Devon traffic to the new signalized intersection with a new roadway and terminate through traffic down Knollwood to that intersection at Devon and Knollwood for safety reasons. But we don't have a definitive answer on that, but they are looking at doing right in, right out only there at the old Knollwood turn, Knollwood interchange. David, do you want? Okay.
So they are looking to close that off.
They would be, yes, sir.
Okay. And then the second question that I have is regarding the Holland Road. Obviously, in the write-up, we talk about the upcoming stadium project and the need for that. Was there any additional traffic studies that were done in relation to putting that traffic light there for any other purposes beyond the stadium, such as traffic along that road, speeding, that sort of thing?
So the whole plan with the Bridgeway development was a signalized intersection there and also further down at an additional connection point closer to the church that's renting the old Samsung Bloom building. And so there actually is proposed in the entire Bridgeway master plan to signalize intersections. However, that intersection at Bridgeway Boulevard, as popular as Bridgeway is now, and the continued development of Bridgeway beyond a stadium project, it compels that signalization sooner rather than later. Sooner we can get that in and installed. Plus, I've heard that this has been on a long-term project plan for many years, and that there was maybe some money deposited by Mr. Hughes maybe a decade, 2 decades ago for signalization. And so this is a long time coming, and now that we've got Bridgeway Phase 1 in place, having personally experienced it many times, it definitely needs to start getting a left turn signal there, just for the safety and flow of traffic.
Thank you.
I believe we can expand. Those of us have been up here 10 years or more, or close to it, that there was a discussion back when the townhomes built up there. That was at one time called Center Point Boulevard, and Mr. Hughes had committed that it would be signalized for there when Coca-Cola bottling plant was there. Not the bottling plant, distribution center was there, and I think Jackson Marketing is there now. So that was always planned to have a traffic light at that intersection. And now with the 4-story Dodge Barron building built there on the corner, it's problematic if you're coming that way. It's a good proactive move there. Around to it. Yeah.
It's all good. To your point regarding the closure of any portion of Knollwood Avenue, that would require council action to do that. But in the event it gets to that point, council would have a right to have a say in how that's going to happen, if it's going to happen. So I just wanted to put your mind at ease.
Okay, so therefore it would remain open until we voted to close it.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Duncan, just for our edification, a C fund is a what and comes from where?
C-Fund is actually a program that is administered through the Greenville Legislative Delegation Transportation Committee, GLDTC, which comes from state gasoline tax dollars that are allocated to counties.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve staff's recommendation to move forward with C-Fund's request, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Hey, this is our agenda item. We are now back to our second public comment for anything general public, and don't see anyone signed up for that. So council concerns? Here none. Next is a potential call for executive session. Looks like economic development issues. Mr. Matney?
Thank you, Mayor. Move we enter executive session and consider an economic development matter for City Center under Section 30-4-70A2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Same statute.
Oh, and also for the proposed sale or purchase of property under 30-4-70A2.
Mr. Matney, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Steenback. Any discussion? All those in favor to enter into an executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Here none, we will enter into executive session from 7:30 PM. Reconvene upstairs in the conference room. Thank you. Council is returning to chambers. Mr. Madden, would you like to report out?
Thank you, Mayor. Coming out of executive session at 8:25, no decisions were made, no votes were taken.
Say 8:05, 8:25.
8:25.
Not look at that clock, it's not working. All right, so we are returned to chamber, back in the regular session. Next item on agenda, possible action on items discussed in executive session. Seeing none, what's the council pleasure on adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Braylon? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. 8:26. Thank you, everyone.